And this is Ken Kraetzer for Sons of the American Legion Radio. We have a special opportunity on Saturday. We're going to be traveling out to Madison, Wisconsin to see the Army football team take on the Badgers in front of 80,000 people. And one of the great aspects of a day like this is the performance of the marching bands. And the University of Wisconsin's got one of the best in the country. And something we've been wanting to do for a long time is talk to a band director and hear how the performance is put together. And we're so glad to talk to Dr. Corey Pompey, who's the Associate Director of Bands at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, graduate of the University of Alabama, and a PhD from the University of Texas. Dr. Pompey, great to talk with you. How's preparation going for Saturday?
Well, we're getting there. We've had an excellent week of rehearsals. Today will be our second rehearsal of the week, but things are going well. But I must confess that I wouldn't want to put us out there just yet.
I think the football coaches may feel the same way.
I'm sure.
So that's terrific. Now, tell us a little bit about what's a performance week like for you when you're going to go out on the big stage on Saturday night, and what's your schedule? We know what the coaches do with the teams, but what's your week like?
So our week can get pretty hectic. We rehearse Tuesday through Friday, 3:30 to 5:30 is our class time. We usually start around 3:45 because there are some conflicts with the university grid and students coming into class, leaving other classes. So for us, it's easier to start around 3:45, although the printed time is 3:30 to 5:30. So Tuesday through Friday. On Saturdays, we'll rehearse for an hour and a half in preparation for the game. We usually do that early in the morning. And by early, I mean 7 o'clock if it's an 11 o'clock kickoff, or somewhere between 8 and 8:30. So for example, Saturday's kickoff is at 7. We would normally rehearse around 8 or 8:30, but we're having a high school band day on Saturday. And so that's the one time that we rehearse in the stadium in preparation for that event. So we're going to be rehearsing this Saturday at 1:30, and we'll do that until 2:45 in the stadium. And so there's that. And then after our rehearsal, we do what we call Badger Bash, which is a pregame concert that happens an hour before kickoff. So we have to gather, warm up, march out, and do all of those things. And then after Badger Bash, we'll move into, we'll march across to the stadium, march in the stadium, where we'll wait until it's time to do the pregame presentation. Now, between rehearsal and our warm-up for the Badger Bash, there are some other things that take place because we have a pep band that goes to what we call Badgerville, which is essentially a tailgate that the athletic department puts on. Our tuba players will play at local places. They'll get their tubas, and as they're walking to Badger Bash, they'll perform at different places. I think the drumline does something similar. So it's quite busy on Saturday. What can I say?
That's great. Now you got two aspects of preparation. You've got to make sure the band members know the music, and then you've got to teach them to march, and then to do an intricate procession, on the field while they're playing. Tell us a little bit about, maybe how does that work? I know you start in the summertime with preparation.
Well, In the summer, we discuss what the shows are going to be for the upcoming season. So we need to know the music, we need to know the timing, how long each of those shows are going to be. And then from there, we begin our preparations. And so sometimes, so the music has to be arranged, and the rights for the music that we play have to be cleared. And after that, we then must write drill to accompany that music. And so for Saturday's game, we had a 2-week preparation. So throughout the marching season in the summer, when we're looking at what shows we're going to do, we have to figure out, is this going to be a 2-week preparation or a 1-week preparation? And that's dependent on the football schedule because, if you have 2 back-to-back games, we do a different show every game. That's 2 1-week preparations. If there are 2 weeks in between a show, there's a 2-week preparation. We prefer the 2-week preparations. I must admit, the 1-week shows can be very stressful to put together because there's a lot that has to go into preparing the show for that week. But we do it, and it's a part of, it's what we do, but that part of it is not always fun. What can I say?
Well, it sounds a lot like what the coaches do. Now, tell us about now the size of your band and some of the elements. I understand you have over 300 performers. How many performers will go out on the field on Saturday at Camp Randall Stadium?
Well, in normal years, we're close to 300. We're a little down this year. I suspect some of that has to do with the pandemic and different things like that. Not significantly, I must say, but a little bit. But we have what we call the pregame block, and we have the halftime block. And so traditionally, our pregame block is 210 players, 211 if we count the drum major. But when we're designing drill and different things like that, the drum major doesn't factor into what we're doing. And then for halftime, traditionally, the performance block has been 247. Obviously 248 if we include the drum major. And then we have alternates from there. So a lot of the members of the band will perform both pregame and halftime, but we also have a significant number of members of the band that will do pregame or halftime. And so we have to manage those numbers on a week-to-week basis based on, who our skilled musicians are, who's ready to go in the game, who may need a little bit more time before they're ready, different things like that.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, that's 3 times the size of the football team. Tell us a little bit. I mean, in football, we talk a lot about leadership, especially from the seniors, as the members advance through the years in the program and learning the basics and getting more opportunities, and really taking leadership. And with that many people, you need leaders to run and take responsibility. Tell us how does that process work in your marching band?
Absolutely. We could not do what we do without our leadership team. And so the student leadership team is headed by our drum major, and there's an audition process for that starts in the spring with interviews. There's an application process, interviews, and different things like that. And then right before our band camp starts, there is the audition that takes place where we have to see, can they march? How well do they communicate with others? And a very important part of that audition is how they look when they're marching and whether or not they can excite a crowd when they come out for pregame. So that's a huge part of that audition. And we also have an assistant drum major. And from there, we have what we call rank leaders. And so if you're looking at the band, most of the time, you can divide the band in groups of 8 for the most part. There are some exceptions. But if you think in terms of 8s, then each one of those 8-member groups would have a rank leader. And they help determine who gets in the performance block for that particular week and different things like that. They help teach the marching style. They help communicate what it is that we, the directors, would like to have disseminated to the students. Now, within those ranks, there are other people, members of the leadership team as well. So some ranks will have a rank leader, but may have 1 or 2 other people that are considered part of our leadership team. And then some of our larger sections, like trumpets or tubas, well, that's not one of our largest sections, but the tubas do have this.
How many tuba players you have?
We are at 22.
22, that's a lot.
22. Our performance, in our performance block, we keep it at 16, but there are 22 total. And so some of the larger sections have what we call section leaders that will help out with the management of the larger section. But most of the work is done by our rank leaders.
So those are our students learning how to lead. It sounds like a lot like the Corps of Cadets. The sophomores lead 8 freshmen, and the juniors lead a bunch of sophomores and different things, and the seniors run the organization. Sounds very similar. How do you?
There's some overlap there because I must, and I'm sorry to interrupt. If I apologize, but one of the things that perhaps your listeners may not know is that the marching band comes out of the military tradition. So there are a lot of things about what we do that point back to that heritage, for lack of a better term.
Well, tell us a little bit about the history of the band. I know it's been performing for many years and milestones. They've been out to a few Rose Bowls and major events around the country. We saw them at Yankee Stadium and the Pinstripe Bowl a couple of years ago, and wonderful performance there. Playing Jersey Boys. It was a great performance. I just was listening to it the other day. Wonderful sound. When a 300-person band is performing that music. What would have been some of the highlights of the band's history?
Well, the band's been around since the late 1800s. From what we've seen of the historical record, it was around before our football team. It predates our football team by about 9 years. So we've been at it a very long time. And of course, the Rose Bowls have been highlights of the band. The band's been overseas before. And so it's been a really storied history. In recent memory, my predecessor, Mike Leckrone, was at the helm of the band for 50 years.
Wow.
And so I was hired after he stepped down. Now, I must confess, that was not something I was looking forward to.
Following a legendary band leader.
How I got here is interesting in and of itself, because I would not encourage this for most people. But he was here for 50 years, and a lot of the things that we do were instituted by him. The way our marching style, he created. We're known for what's called the fifth quarter.
Yeah.
That's also something that he created. Now, most Big Ten bands do something in the what they call post game. So that wasn't new. But what we do in post game and how we do it in post game, that was new, and that is something that is unique to us.
Very good. Well, that's one thing we're going to be looking forward to is the West Point will send their Cadet Spirit Band to the stadium, and one of their roles is to perform the alma mater of West Point after the game, and normally they do it second. Whoever wins the game gets to perform the alma mater second is a great tradition. And so do you do the alma mater at the end of your games?
Not right at the very end. The alma mater comes as a part of the fifth quarter.
Okay.
And it happens twice. So on Saturday, when the game is over, the cadets will perform their alma mater, and then we'll march out for the fifth quarter, where we'll do our fight song, we'll do Army's fight song, and then we'll do our alma mater. And then we'll do the things that we do, and we'll play the alma mater or varsity is what we call it here, one final time before we exit the stadium.
Well, On Wisconsin is such a famous fight song, and it was my high school's fight song in Pelham, New York, and many others, I'm sure, around the country. And it's a thrill to hear it performed in person. We look forward to that. Tell us a little bit. One of the things that we see in bands is that it's a great teaching mechanism to teach how to do something difficult with precision and playing an instrument, and then being able to march on a field with, in your case, almost 300 others, the epitome of the organization's, what it's all about, and learning that precision. How do you go about the teaching elements for your band performers?
Well, first, it all starts in our band camp, which happens mid-August. They've got to learn our marching technique, and they've got to learn basically our school songs, for lack of a better term, the things that we play year in, year out. They must learn all of those things. And then there's a vocabulary that's developed through learning the marching technique. And then as we're learning our movements from week to week, it's a matter of transferring that vocabulary, transferring the movements that they learned onto the prescribed movements for that particular week. And that takes a long time. It's one thing to be able to play your instrument. It's another thing to be able to march. And then it's another thing to be able to march and play your instrument at the same time. So we're constantly introducing these different layers into what we do. And we try to, in preparation for the show, all of those things at some point will occur without the other. And then at some point, we start putting it all together, and then it has to be rehearsed and refined, and then rehearsed and refined even more. And that process goes right up until we get ready to go on the field, pretty much. If you were to attend our rehearsals, let's say it was a 1-week preparation. If you heard the band at the beginning of the week versus hearing the band at the end of the week, I tell you, it's a night and day difference.
That's we've heard that from a few football coaches over the years, and Tell us a little bit from your perspective. Why is participating in a marching band? Why is it a great thing for high schools all around the country? What does it take to be successful, and the skills that you learn, and then what do you look for, I guess, in recruiting the members of the new members of your band?
Well, so there are a couple of things, or shall I say, everything that I'm about to say, you could distill into two areas. The first area is the value of music itself, the value of participating in the arts and engaging with the arts, because the arts touch the heart and differently than, say, your sciences and different things that maybe you could say are more concrete. So you're dealing with emotions, you're dealing with different parts of the brain, and to be able to access that creativity, cultivate that creativity, and get in touch with one's emotions, I think is very important. And so there's value in the study of music and the arts in general. So that's important, because we want to have people come out of the schools being well-rounded, and to have access to the arts in addition to the science, technology, engineering, and math. It's extremely important. So we want to make sure we're developing well-rounded people.
Absolutely.
And then the other part I would call extra musical, meaning being a part of a group that's working towards the same goal. Being a part of a group where you may have some people on one page and other people on a totally different page, and having to negotiate and figure out how to bring people together so that you're traveling in the same direction. That's important. I guess you could say it's learning how to work in groups and really fostering interpersonal skills and different things like that. So that's important. And so I do think that there is value for joining a band program for that reason. And certainly it goes without saying that you develop a sense of hard work.
Sure.
A work ethic, and it reinforces the study of music. In this particular case, marching band reinforces the notion that excellence is achieved through hard work. Because if we don't work hard and we don't do things the right way, then we can't achieve the excellence that we're looking for. It's difficult to play a musical instrument well, and it's difficult to march well. And so there's a certain amount of gratification that comes with being able to do those things well. And it's wonderful when you go out to perform and the students get that positive feedback from the crowd, from all the hard work that they put in that particular week.
Is there a particular moment in your career leading a band, putting a performance together that really stands out?
Oh, sure. In terms of leading the band, yes. My first year here, my very first performance here was quite a memorable experience, and the crowd was quite receptive to what we did that day. So that was personally for me very fulfilling. And then my first year here, we did a salute to the armed forces. That was very well received, and we eventually took that show to the Rose Bowl. So people really appreciated that. And I have memories from every show that we've done, and I must say that it feels like the crowd here in Madison really appreciate what our students do. And so we're really grateful to them, because they could go up and leave and get a hot dog and a Coke or something, but many people stay and they watch, and they're very kind with their applause, usually at the end.
And I guess from an educator's point of view, and we see it covering football. I mean, when we follow the players from their freshman year all the way to becoming seniors, first season, as I call them, at West Point. How is it to watch the growth of your performers from when they come in and maybe struggle to do the skills that you just described, to learning, doing performances, and then becoming the leaders of your band organization?
It's very exciting to see that maturation process from freshman to senior. A lot of the students, when they come, I'm trying to choose my words carefully, but because I don't have a better way of expressing what I'm about to say, I don't want to come across the wrong way, but they don't know much when they come. They don't know our marching style. They have to learn that. They have not lived on their own for they've never lived on their own in most cases.
Oh.
And then, as I mentioned to you, we're rehearsing from Tuesday through Saturday if we've got a game that week. And they're having to do that and manage being a student at the same time. So there's a lot of growth that has to happen in order to be a successful musician in this organization. And to see them take their first steps as a freshman to their last steps as a senior is it's wonderful to see, because we try as best we can to explain to them what we do on a day in and day out basis, but they don't understand it until they've gone through it.
Sure.
And so when they first get into this band, or first join the band, or try to audition for the band, there are a lot of aches and pains that they have, because what the movements that we do are not natural, and the body has to be prepared to do those kinds of movements, and there's an adjustment period. Now, that's not unlike anything else in life. If you were to go study ballet, it's going to be painful in the beginning, but as your body adjusts, it becomes easier to do, and you know how to do it. So that's that process is one that's interesting to see with our students. And of course, they change in some cases from looking very young to looking like mature young adults. How they speak, how they carry themselves, their bearing, all of that can change within the 4-year period that they're with us.
So many great attributes and skills and teamwork to learn by participating in a marching band, and certainly at you lead one of the finest university bands in the country, and we're looking forward to seeing your band perform on Saturday at the Army Wisconsin Badger football game. And can you hint at any of the music or the show that the fans will see at Camp Randall Stadium on Saturday?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. So during our pregame show, we'll do a salute to the Black Knights. So they'll hear the fight song, their fight song during our pregame show. Of course, it won't sound the same as the way the Black Knights would play it, but we'll do it. We do our best. And then during the show, we'll tip our hats to the greatest generation and highlight the role that music has played in the armed services. We're going to perform Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy during our pregame festivities. And then on Saturday, we're having what's called High School Band Day. So there'll be about 1,500 or so high school students in Camp Randall for High School Band Day. We'll perform, those high school bands will do a performance, then our band will perform, and we're doing the music of Panic at the Disco on Saturday.
Panic at the Disco, okay.
Panic at the Disco, which is a rock group that's been popular in recent years. So that'll be the music for halftime, and hopefully it'll be music that will entice those high school students to audition for the UW marching band. And certainly the hope is that the music will touch the rest of the audience in some way. But for Saturday, we're hoping to really reach those students.
Well, I know I understand West Point's going to have over 1,000 alumni at the game, and they will give a cheer when you play Brave Old Army Team, one of the great fight songs in the country, and represents them well. We're so appreciative. This is, I've been wanting to do this kind of interview for a long time, and we are so appreciative of Dr. Corey Pompey, a graduate of the University of Alabama and PhD from the University of Texas, joining us today. And a final thought for our audience about why participating in a marching band is such a great educational opportunity.
Well, it's, first off, it's fun. So, that in and of itself makes it worth it. And then the ability to learn music and work with others towards a common goal is wonderful. And we often get the best seat in the house when it comes to cheering on our football team, and we've been able to go to some wonderful places and do some wonderful things through music. And so that's why you do marching band.
Well, so well said. And we are so appreciative of the chance to chat with you today, Dr. Corey Pompey, PhD from the University of Texas and the Associate Director of Bands at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, leading one of the great marching bands in the country. And we're going to look forward to seeing you at Camp Randall Stadium on Saturday night as the Army Black Knights will take on the Wisconsin Badgers.
We look forward to seeing you, and we hope that you enjoy your time in Madison while you're here this weekend.
We're looking forward to it. Thank you again. And this is Ken Kraetzer for Sons of the American Legion Radio. We're based in White Plains, New York, and we'll be out at Wisconsin on Saturday. Watch our coverage here on West Point Football Report on Facebook and on Twitter at Sons Legion Radio. And we're looking forward to that. And thanks again to Dr. Pompey. We really enjoyed talking with him today. This is Ken Kraetzer from White Plains. Have a great day.